Hello, Watem here, and welcome back to some more Higurashi When They Cry. I've just recorded the last part, and I'm sorry again for all the sidetracking, well, just how distracted I keep getting. Let me know actually how you feel about that. Do you want me to keep all this side discussion in, or should I focus more on the story? Let me know in the comments. In any case, let's continue. That field was called psychosurgery. It's fallen out of practice in the current Heisei era, but surgical techniques were applauded until mid-Showa, especially since it produced spectacular results on a chronic mental patient that was said to be incurable. The man who invented it even won a Nobel Prize. That was how revolutionary it was. Humans think, that's why they become ill. Everyone knows that's why those who overthink matters are prone to mental illness. Well, kind of stress more, but yeah. People who I think tend to get more stressed about their decisions, and then that stress then causes a whole cascade. Anyway, moving on. When the organ that thinks and debates grows ill, humans deviate from social behaviour. That part is called the frontal lobe. Put simply, psychosurgery is surgery performed to operate on the frontal lobe. This kind of surgery doesn't require removing the whole epicranium. A small hole is drilled through the cranium. The special scalpel is inserted down to cut it. It's not a major surgery, just a technique for quickly operating on the precious frontal lobe. Indeed, it was revolutionary in its simplicity. All the severely ill mental patients miraculously recovered, so the technique spread around the world quickly. Those with obstinate and chronic mental illnesses, the severely ill trapped in deep, inescapable depression, all those could be saved by this technique. Throughout history, humans have come up with many different religions and magic tricks to heal emotional injuries. So, needless to say, the idea of them being able to treat them with a surgical technique was truly revolutionary. It admired psychosurgery and pushed forward in the field of surgical techniques to treat human souls. However, from a modern human rights standpoint, severing a portion of the brain simply because someone is emotionally disturbed is absolutely out of the question. Yeah, there are some issues with that. People gradually started to think differently and said that psychosurgery was inhumane. The frontal lobe controls how people think, but it's also the part that makes humans act human. There are quite a few cases where the cut caused drastic, irreversible changes in the patient. Yep. There's one example of someone having a railway spike or something, basically going through his head, but he managed to survive somehow, and then became much more aggressive and various other side effects. And we learned a lot about the brain from that. But yes, moving on. A baseless happiness born from lack of thought. A change in personality. A loss of interest in anything. Major mood swings due to a lack of control over one's emotions. Some even lost part of their memories. Of course, some didn't even survive the surgery. By the mid-1960s, the use of psychosurgery declined. Also, due to development of psychotropic medicine, the surgery was hardly performed anymore anyway. Yet, some people still believed in the idea and continued to perform the surgery and gather clinical data. So yeah, I think before they perform a lobotomy, I think it was, they check in particular they check the language faculties of the brain, and which side of the brain your language is on. They also, before a lot of surgeries to cut things out, they use electrodes to test where your language centers of the brain are, to see how far they can cut without affecting it, because language centers are very important to yourself and all. Yeah, so like they try to cut as little as they need to try to control like the epilepsy. So yeah, basically so that the epilepsy doesn't affect the whole brain, they cut the corpus callosum so it separates the two halves, which in some cases has actually even reduced the effects of the epilepsy in one half of the brain. It's also been like a case where the whole corpus callosum wasn't cut, and there was like a few strands, and so they were able to learn quite a few things from that as well. But in any case, yeah. But some people still believe the idea and continue to perform surgery and gather clinical data. They wanted people to recognize the value of the technique once again. Some of these surgeries are performed without consent. Ah, yes. One theory is that in Japan alone, there are thousands of people who woke up from general anesthesia, only to find part of their brain had been removed. Fun! Today, to perform such a surgery without a patient's consent is considered totally unethical, but it was different at the time. For one thing, the idea that doctors required prior patient consent was proliferated in the modern Heisei era. I have no idea how to pronounce that, I'll be honest. Therefore, people at the time didn't think it was that big of an issue. It was only later that people started to argue that it was inhumane. The fact that it was only later that people started to argue it doesn't make it any less inhumane. Rather. Finally, a decision was reached and the curtain closed with the rejection of psychosurgery. Later, the Japanese Society of Psychology and Neurology passed for a resolution to end psychosurgery. After that, psychosurgery was banned throughout Japan and made a forbidden subject of Japanese medicine. Hiraya was a leading person in the field of psychosurgery. He continued to advocate its effectiveness and results. Therefore, he was treated as a war criminal who practiced inhumane medicine, and he was exiled from the public eye. Yay! However, that doesn't mean he changed his beliefs. Oh. He still believes that immoral behavior is caused by brain disorders, and the secret to treating them is in fact hidden in the brain. So the existence of Hinazawa syndrome, caused by parasites living in the brain that control human emotions, actually affirms this theory.
私ごときでよろしければ、この度の話、ぜひ引き受けさせていただきたいと思います。
Of course. Given Iria's history, he would never turn down this offer. Despite his mild-mannered appearance, Irie was possessed by a mighty ambition. There was no way he didn't desire a chance to complete research that would prove himself to a medical society that ostracized him. I'm handing him that chance on a silver platter.
ありがとうございます。入江先生ならば、きっと良いお返事をいただけると信じておりました。
I can't help but feel that she's saying this with an evil smirk.
当方もあなたのような専門家を迎えられ、とても助かります。
しかし、私などが所長でいいのでしょうか。それは高野さんがやられた方がよろしいでしょう。私は単なる医者に過ぎません。人の上に立ったことなど。
ご安心ください。それにつきましては、私も全面的にサポートいたします。トップは制服ではなく背広からというのが上の希望でもあります。
Yeah, totally. It wasn't like you were just given this position recently. No.
お気に召しませんか？入江所長という呼び名は。
いえいえ。
I can't remove the image of her evil smile from my mind. Her face, not my face. Anyway.
いや、しかし。
Irie laughed to hide his embarrassment.
現在、ひなみ沢に研究施設を建設中です。表向きは診療所ということになっています。入江先生にご快諾をいただけましたので、入江診療所という名前にいたしましょう。
一国一城の主とはもったいない話です。
あと身分を陸自で預かることになりますので、先生の席は陸自の遺憾という扱いになります。
I wonder how much he learns about her later on.
私の上司ですので2差の階級になりますわね。入江2差という呼び名はいかがでしょ
う。私は軍人じゃありません。ニサという呼び名は遠慮させていただきたいものです。所長だって恐れ多いくらいです。いやいや。
He's getting a chance to research brain parasites, plus being given the title of director of a new clinic as camouflage. Plus it counts with staff and funding. We even have support from the Defense Agency, Ministry of Health and Welfare, as well as a research lab with state-of-the-art equipment. No wonder he's laughing so excitedly. However, there are some risks too. Since he'll be involved with the secret research, he has an obligation to keep it a secret. Also, he's going to an area plagued by a mysterious and bizarre disease. There's no guarantee he won't contract it himself. But Irie is too young to even think about those things. Aware of all the risks, he quickly signed the contract with the ambition to have people recognize his talents once again. When I saw him sign the contract, I finally relaxed. I knew he would agree to join us, but at the same time, I was afraid of a chance that he'd refuse. Selecting a director proved more difficult than expected, and the only candidate the Colonel paired well with was Irie. So if Irie refused to take the position, then frankly, she'd be placed in an even worse situation. Now that Irie has agreed to take the position, research on Hinamazawa syndrome can finally begin. The research center, or rather the clinic, will be completed next spring. The Ministry of Health and Welfare and the Defense Agency will send the best equipment and staff, plus an abundant supply of funds. Then finally, our research will begin in earnest. Everything is going well. Of course it is. I put so much effort into making sure things went smoothly up to this point.
以上です。
I wonder actually when we'll get Rika's point of view or whatever. Whether it will stay in Takano's point of view until we follow through with the events starting the curse stuff, or if that will be interspersed with it with someone else's point of view.
就任おめでとうございます、入江所長殿。三佐、宣誓書へのサインを終わりました。
ありがとう。これからよろしくお願いいたしますわ、入江所長。
こちらこそよろしくお願いします、高野さん。仲良くやりましょう。私も全身全霊をかけて頑張ります。
Also, it's probably to her benefit that he's willing to do some somewhat unethical research.
こちらこそお互い最善を尽くしましょう。
Now the position of director has been filled. Everything is set.
それはよかったよかった。おめでとう、高野さん。え、高野三佐でしたかな？
これもすべて先生方のお力添えがあったからこそです。高野美代、皆様に心より感謝させていただきます。
まあまあ、高野さんに本当の意味でおめでとうが言えるのは研究が成功に終わった時ですな。ようやく入り口にたどり着いたに過ぎませんよ。
おっしゃる通りです。寝る間を惜しんで研究に身を投じていく覚悟です。
高野先生が成し遂げられなかったさらにその先へ至られることを私ども一度楽しみにいたしておりますぞ。
まあまあ先生、今日はそういう堅苦しい話は抜きにしましょう。今日は高野さんのこれからと入江機関の設立を祝って乾杯と参りましょう。
乾杯の前にご挨拶申し上げます。厚生省の永田と申します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
ああ、高野さん、彼をバシバシこき使ってやってください。彼のところの研究所は入江機関のバックアップをしてくれます。技術的に困ったことがあったらいつでも頼ってやってください。
こき使うだなんてそんな。こちらこそお世話になります。高野と申します。どうかよろしくお願いします。
高野さん、こちらも紹介しましょう。陸自から出向の富武君とおこのぎ君です。陸自側からのバックアップをします。ぜひご挨拶させてください。
はじめまして、富武と申します。この度のプロジェクトの監査役を仰せつかりました。どうかよろしくお願いいたします。
The funding for our research is largely coming from the SDF. It's only natural for the SDF to assign a watchdog to make sure reasonable research is taking place. Aww. However, someone in a position like that should be my opponent. Why was someone in that position invited to this private party? Does that mean this auditor is on my side too? Seeing that through groundwork, I couldn't help but feel the strength of having the sponsor all over again.
私は直接はひなみ沢に赴きませんが、定期的にお伺いして研究の進捗管理などをさせていただくことになります。
あら、それは残念ですわね。ひなみ沢は空気も良くて自然も素晴らしいところですのよ。ぜひ仕事以外でも気軽に遊びにいらしてくださいね。
ありがとうございます。そうさせていただきます。
If he really is an auditor, I should maintain a good relationship with this man. He will hold the key to all future adjustments of our funding, so long as we continue drawing it from the SDF.
おこのぎと申します。
Actually, that's one thing I forgot to do. Ah! That wasn't what I was expecting the background to change. But yeah, that's not how I really expected to see him.
よろしくお願いいたします。
Actually, I think until this point we only had this version of him. I don't think we had this version, so that's nice to see.
彼は不正規船部隊の一つ、山犬の隊長です。
Unconventional.
ひなみ沢に常駐し、三佐を直接サポートします。
ボディーガードみたいなものと思っていいのかしら。
要人護衛、機密保持が主な任務です。三佐の直接の手足となりますので、どうかこき使ってやってください。
よろしくお願いします。
Tomotaki seems to be an honest type for a military man, but this Sakunogi person looks the complete opposite. Well, if he's the auditor, he's probably more on the administrative side of the military, but yeah. Although that's not to say that he isn't like active military and can hold himself, as we've seen. He definitely seemed like a military man from when he was first introduced, with all his muscles and everything. But now you can see different. Huh. That's interesting. Infectious Disease Surveillance Center. That's... Okay, so that feels like that shouldn't be on him now, but at another point in time, probably. Anyway. Moving along. Can't quite read what's written there, but yeah. His main job is to preserve secrets, but I bet he's also good with espionage tactics like counterintelligence and information control. Yes, that would explain his demeanor. Since the SDF is funding our research on Hinazawa syndrome, of course this is considered a military operation. Therefore, this research has to be done in secret. That was why a unit like this is necessary. Besides, It's very reassuring to have someone capable of combat working under me. I should maintain a good relationship with him too.
さあさあさあ、挨拶はこれくらいにして早く乾杯に移りましょう。さあさあ、富武君も足を崩して。今日は入江機関の前途を祝して無礼講で参りましょう。
While this is supposed to celebrate the establishment of the Irie Institute, Irie himself isn't here. That is his job after all, to act as a front. Irie is simply a puppet to fill a seat. Of course, I expect him to help me a little with his expertise, but he's ultimately an outsider. This was supposed to be a gathering where I would show my appreciation to those who helped me establish the Irie Institute, but it has turned into them thanking me for all of my efforts. I'm always one to pour alcohol for others, but today people were pouring alcohol in my glass. The new participants were trying to make me happy, and all the top people talked to me casually. They all praised my hard work and my efforts. My research is now recognized by many institutions. I'm ready to spread my wings wide open. And all the people who are expecting some returns once the research accomplishes something are trying to curry favor with me. But right now I'm just very grateful, regardless of their motives.
それでは入江機関の設立と高野美代君の今後ますますの発展を祈願して乾杯に移りたいと思います。先生、音頭をお願いいたします。
It's like a dream. I know. This is just the beginning, and I shouldn't be satisfied with this alone. But just for today, I can forget about everything else and enjoy the celebration. I'm guessing at some point we're going to get a flashback back to the escape, or what happened after the escape attempt, and like whatever her punishment was. I'm not a heavy drinker. If the drinks taste good tonight, the more I drink, the happier I get. This really is wonderful. To be called Major by Tomitake and the others is wonderful too. That's the rank my grandfather had during the war. This means I finally caught up with my grandfather. This is only the beginning. From here on, I intend to reach what my grandfather couldn't. This is the best night of my life. I ended up leaving to fix my makeup. That's a euphemism or actually fixing her makeup. In case I'm filled with elation. I need to feel fresh air to calm myself down. My heart is about to explode because I'm so happy. This is pretty. The gathering is taking place a little distance away from the main building. The restroom is in the main building, so I need to walk across the hallway. Rain's probably going to ruin any makeup you have, what you fix when you get back, but okay. A beautiful and well-maintained Japanese garden is visible from the hallway. It's raining. I usually don't like the rain, but I don't mind it at all today. I feel like even the raindrops are congratulating me. Yeah, like a nice warm summer's rain is always nice. I already called it nice, but in any case, yes. The cool air feels pleasant on my hot skin. It took me a moment to notice how unsteady my footsteps had become. Maybe I drank a little too much. It isn't like me to drink more than I can handle. Although this is a party, I don't want to embarrass myself, so I decided to cool off a little by looking at the beautiful Japanese garden. I found an elegant chair set on a red carpet nearby and sat down on it. Since I was with the associates until now, I was forced to constantly be on guard against embarrassing myself. Now that I was alone, I could let go and truly relax. When I look up at the sky, I realise it's still raining hard, but in the distance the horizon is a little lighter. Maybe it won't be raining for much longer. Well, that's normal. Rain stops eventually. No matter how cold it is, or how hard it's raining, rain stops eventually. I'm guessing we're about to get another flashback here. Oops. I saw a pair of sandals and an umbrella, almost inviting me. so I took them into the garden. The tasteless laughter coming from a party sounds far away. I tilted the umbrella and looked up to the sky. I felt the raindrops hit my face, and gazed up at the sky for a while, forgetting all about my hair getting wet. I thought the rain would cool my boiling heart, but as my body got cold, I started to feel miserable. My bare feet were all swollen, and the throbbing pain I felt made them seem twice their normal size. This is a flashback I was expecting. I think she mentioned, because it's been a while and I'm probably struggling to remember more than you were. When she's escaping, she mentioned at one point how she's barefoot or something and the gravel road hurts. In case the gravel road continued forever. I didn't even know which direction I was headed in anymore. I could no longer hear my pursuer. Oh! I'd probably lost him by running through the woods like mad. My body was covered in scratches. I finally started to feel the pain from that. I felt both cold and hungry. There was no place nearby to take shelter from the rain. I was just on a little path in the woods. My worst fear was that I would end up heading back towards the orphanage, after bolting and losing my sense of direction. True, I had crushed that man's finger. I didn't think I bit it off, but I was sure it would leave a scar. Taking that into consideration, it was very clear to me what kind of torture awaited me back at the orphanage. Therefore, I'd have to reach the House of Love and Mercy. If only it had been daytime, and I could have easily found the right way to go. However, with this rain, there was nothing I could do. But I couldn't stop. I had to keep walking until I reached something. I wondered if Erica and the others had escaped safely. I didn't know how many people came after us, but at least one came after me. In other words, it meant they had a better chance. Did they reach the House of Love and Mercy? Were they drying themselves with soft towels? And if they still remembered me, would they save a towel for me too? Alternatively, it could be just as bad there. I felt so cold. I wanted to find shelter and sit down, but there was nothing of the sort. She's not going to somehow stumble into Hinamizawa now, is she? I saw a tree that looked like I could take shelter under it, but the branches and leaves were dripping with water. It was then that I realized that the sky was gradually getting darker. This day ended in rain. There were no streetlights where I was. Soon enough it would be totally dark, and I wouldn't be able to walk any further. I wanted to sit down, even if it was raining. But if I did sit down, I probably wouldn't be able to stand up again, so I endured. Yet, normally in this case would be a good time to rest, but rain definitely isn't good for that. And you could probably die. If I hadn't escaped with Erica and the others, I wouldn't have had to go through such misery. Compared to what I had to go through at the orphanage, this was nothing. Thinking about that was the only way to make myself move. But when I thought about that, it's true that this freezing cold rain was far better than my life at the orphanage. That was only when compared to the life at the orphanage. Was it better than the normal lives of kids my age? I didn't even need to think about that. When my parents were alive, though we weren't rich, we led a normal life. With gentle smiles and forgivable selfishness. The sound of my mother cooking breakfast in the morning, the sound of a newspaper being folded. Precious memories like that. I didn't need anything else. I had plenty of friends. I had fun at school. I didn't like my teacher, but I liked studying. I had everything I needed. That was enough for me. I never complained. I never did anything bad. So why was this happening to me? Everything went downhill after that train accident. The die of fate kept rolling a 1. Where have we heard that before? Die never showed its good side to me. On that note, I think I'll end it here for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments. Again, let me know what do you think about my getting distracted all the time. Yes. So, until next time, I hope you enjoy. And yeah, let me know if you can in the comments. And until next time, see ya. I said until next time way too many times. See ya.